Hi there, nice to see you. Bumblebee tuna?
I have exorcised the demons. This house is clear. I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. Hey, you guys!
Let's get down to business.
Disclaimer. To the Pharisees and Karens out there,
How dare you!
all guests on this show do not reflect the opinions of the host. The purpose of this show is to have interesting conversations, stretch our minds, and grow.
Not what we want!
If you are looking for an echo chamber, viewer and listener discretion is advised.
You talk about extreme.
If knowledge is a crime, we were guilty from the start. They don't fear the questions, they fear the spark. So we steal the fire, not to rule, not to reign, just to see through smoke and mirrors and call peace by name. They call it dangerous thinking, they call it heresy. But fire doesn't fear the dark, it only shows what's real.
Hey guys, what is happening and what is up? Hey, hold out that glass, baby. You know what time it is. We about to fill it up. Welcome to the Prometheus Lens Podcast, the place where the conversations are always enlightening. I am your host, Doc Brown, and here we like to use the allegory of the Prometheus Lens to take a second look at everything. Well, hey guys, if you are new to this channel, welcome to the hero's journey. Please be sure and hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. And hey, while you're at it, go ahead and flick that bell so you get notifications and you don't miss out on a single solitary journey with the fam. Hey, while I got your attention, please check out this banner down below with all of our social medias at our various platforms, and that would be much appreciated. Well guys, man, thank you guys for coming back and settling in with me. Not even gonna lie, I said it in the chat. If you happen to see it in the chat, I had to just scream at the devil and get behind thee, Satan. I might even cussed him a little bit. But I had some problems, man. Stuff that I've never had before, especially doing solo. I mean, you do run into some trouble sometimes when you have a guest, because you've got two people trying to work through some stuff, but never had this kind of issues. I brought up the Ecamm Live stuff, and like all of a sudden, all of my windows just disappeared. Couldn't find them. I had to go through the little top bar, how you got, the edit, the profile, and all these other little tabs. I had to go through and click every single tab and individually try to find my windows. But hey, man, we done it. Got started just a few minutes late, but that is the reason why. So I said, get behind thee, Satan, and here we are, guys. Ain't gonna get in the way of our good time, right? I'm gonna kill this music. Get settled in here. I see a lot of the fam in here tonight. We got Pam, we got Rebecca, Robert. See, that's either you're a new listener or a new commenting listener. Seeing you from East Tennessee. That's my neck of the woods, so howdy, right? Well, I hope everybody's had a good weekend. I've had a good weekend. I can't speak for everyone, but down south, man, we had some beautiful weather this weekend. Spring is on the way, and my allergies are not oblivious to it. I'll go outside and be outside for just a little bit, and immediately, man, my nose will clog up, and I'll be talking like this. I guess some people can relate, but some people not. Me and Amy was just talking about people migrating back and forth from Florida and to Tennessee, and how that can just really just beat people's sinuses up, man. Let's see, Rebecca, haven't been getting notifications. I wished I could find that comment. Somebody had commented the same thing, Rebecca, and someone in the comment section told them some kind of little workaround, you click this, click that, and boom, you get notified for everything. So I don't know if it's in the bell section, where you click the subscribe and the like, they got a little bell there, you can drop it down and click notify on all or something like that. You can set the notification sensitivity level to your favorite shows. That way every time something's posted you get notified. I guess they don't throw out everything that you're subscribed to. That way it drowns you in notifications, but your favorite channels that you don't want to miss anything, you can actually adjust that sensitivity where you don't miss out on nothing. But I seen that in the comment section a while back. Somebody else was having the same issue, and whoever that kind woman was remedied that for someone else. Oh, well, guys, give me a holler in the chat. What's everybody been up to? Anything new? Praise reports? Complaints? Hey, if you want to blow off some steam, do it here if you want to. I have a pressure release valve I have to let off very occasionally. Yeah, I have to make time and mess with it. Yeah. Be like me trying to get this live started, going through every single little window, clicking everything, and trying to figure out what was going on here. Sometimes it takes some exploration. Oh, but man, that one live we did on St. Patrick's Day, with the whole serpent seed St. Patrick history, that had some really good responses. I've gotten lots of messages and emails, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. I'm glad, because I did too, and it probably come through in the recording. I was all giddy and hooping and hollering and all that good stuff. Nancy, Nephilim Death Squad says hello. Tell Top and Raven that I give them the salute. Pam says she is chillaxing. Work week is coming. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But I was talking about the whole sinuses, man. I don't know where everybody's at in the chat. Hell, throw it up. Let me know where you're from. But like here in East Tennessee, we had a nice little warm spell, and then all of a sudden everything started blooming, and then no shit, here come this big snow. and like we had snow covering everything, and there was like this rose bush outside of my door that was starting to bloom real pretty, and then boom, we got hit with this snow and this really cold snap and killed almost everything. And so yeah, I've heard people say, as far as Tennessee goes, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. That's awesome. Michelle, she said, I love coming here. With the world being so loud, this feels like a safe space. This is a non-liberal safe space. Northern California, Pam. Nice. I'm heading out there end of May, 1st of June. My girlfriend, she's never been to California, so we're going to go and check out some of the California redwoods while we out there. Okay, Nancy's from Nevada. My buddy Jesse from Biblical Hitmen, he's out there. Me, him, and Steven went out there first of the year. And that's my plans for end of May, 1st of June. I'm going out. I'm flying into Vegas. Me and her is going to stay in Vegas for a couple days, and then we got a rental car, and we're going to drive to California. And I got some podcast recordings in studio with some people, so we figured while we're there, we'll just make a little vacay out of it. Yes, Robert, talking about my allergies. Get some raw honey within 15 miles of your house. Yeah, you microdose and help yourself out. And what's sad is I have some excellent honey from the river winds that they, harvested on their farm and give to me. So I have a big old jar of local raw honey. It's just I have to remind myself to take that. So thank you for that. All right, guys. Well, I think we've had enough chill and catch-up time. Let's get into why everybody's here. I mean, I'm sure some may not mind my senseless ramblings, but you guys are here for some reading and for some studying, so we'll jump into that. But before I do want to share this with you really fast. Robert Sepher, if you guys have not been turned on to him, check him out. He's an anthropologist, and he's really big into the dragon court serpent seed, and has a lot of good videos and talks about that subject on his channel. He's wrote lots of books. I've watched his stuff on YouTube for a while, but I finally broke down and bought like all of his books. I think I bought them all but like one. And I'm going through one of his books called 1666. And it's not an intimidating read at all. I mean, it's, tiny. It's kind of like a comic book size. It's maybe 80 to 100 pages. But I'm on chapter 5 so far. Amazing read. I mean, I can't stop. I was almost late getting here because I was so deep into that. But that's a great book, and I'm going to be doing a study on that. And it dives into this rabbi from 1666 that come forward and said that he was the Messiah, and made this whole like a cult following. And then he basically said to bring forth the Messiah, you had to do it through sin and transgression. So he convinced people by having large sex orgies and wife swapping and large amounts of drug use and all these iniquities would bring the Messiah. And then he ends up converting to I'm trying to think, Islam. And everybody that was following him before converted to Islam too, and really crazy stuff that I had no idea about. But it gets into that and how that stuff filtered through Skull and Bones and the Masons and the Illuminati. Excellent read. I can't wait till I finish it. Get some notes together for you guys to do a show on that. No promises, but when I shared the books online, another fellow researcher, I've not had him on the show yet. I've reached out to him, tried to get him on the show, but it's just never worked out. But his name's Brandon Wallace. Everybody calls him BT, but when he seen on Facebook I shared those pictures, he reached out. He's like, hey, man, I seen you said you were reading that and going to do a show on it. Do you want to do a collab on it? That way we're both, talking about it, and we get two different perspectives. I was like, yeah, dude, I'd love that. So Brandon has bought that book, and he's reading it, and that'll be something in the future for you guys to look forward to. Should be really, really interesting, to say the least. Okay. All right. Without further ado, and if you guys are new to the channel, this is your first time here, I try to preface this every time because I don't want to throw anybody off. But hey, number one thing, I want you to know that
You have chosen wisely.
you have chosen wisely. But this is the study of Louis Ginsberg and his book series, The Legend of the Jews. And this was like a 6-book series where he gathered all the legends, all the mythology of the Jewish people, and compiled them into these 6 books. So this is not canon, and this is not thus saith the Lord here. And you might hear some stuff that's kind of, Kabbalistic mysticism kind of stuff woven in here, but that was what was going around, at the time. So this is like a fun read. This is a cultural read and a perspective read, so that way we guys can better understand the text. So that's what the whole purpose of this is for. Oh, man. Hey, you guys. Nephilim Death Squad's in the house. Glad you guys could swing in and join us. We're about to get started on our Legends of the Jews study and reading. So yes, we are passing the meat. Let's get some meat, y'all. So I'll get everything switched over here and get my camera changed, and we will take off, guys. What do you say? Let's go to share screen. Bang, there we go. Bang-a-rang, Rufio. Who remembers that one? Extra bonus points to the person that can tell me what movie that was from. Bang-a-rang, Rufio. All right. Got everything moved over. We're ready to go. Lock, cocked, and ready to unload. Let's go. Okay, last time we had Jesse Speaks in the house, and so it was my first guest doing one of these readings. So we left off at the sojourn in Egypt. So let me get this camera moved just a little bit. I don't know if that's better or worse. All right, here we go. Oh, Rebecca nailed it. Ding, ding, ding. Tell her what she's won, Johnny. Oh, Joe Biden.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Sick and tired of you smart guys. But yeah, Captain Hook. Love that movie. All right. So, the sojourn of Egypt. Let's go. Scarcely had Abraham established himself in Canaan when a devastating famine broke out, one of the 10 God-appointed famines for the chastisement of men. The first of them came in the time of Adam, when God cursed the ground for his sake. The second was this one in the time of Abraham. The third compelled Isaac to take up his abode among the Philistines. The ravages of the fourth drove the sons of Jacob into Egypt to buy grain for food. The fifth came in the time of the judges, when Elimelech and his family had to seek refuge in the land of Moab. The sixth occurred during the reign of David, and it lasted 3 years. The seventh happened in the day of Elijah, who had sworn that neither rain nor dew should fall upon the earth. The eighth was the one in the time of Elijah, when an ass's head was sold for 80 silver pieces. The ninth is the famine that comes upon men piecemeal from time to time. And the 10th will scourge men before the advent of Messiah. And this last will be, it says quotations, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord, end quote. So the last one will be a famine of the word of the Lord and hearing from the Lord. So the famine in the time of Abraham prevailed only in Canaan, and it had been inflicted upon the land in order to test his faith. He stood this second temptation as he had the first. He murmured not, and he showed no sign of impatience towards God, who had bidden him shortly before to abandon his native land for the land of starvation. An interesting fact. That reminds me of the Exodus. They come out of the Exodus, and they hit this hard times, and the people started complaining, about not having food. And, oh, did you bring us out here to die, Moses? So here's another foreshadowing of the Exodus, kind of. It says, the famine compelled him to leave Canaan for a time, and he repaired to Egypt to become acquainted there with the wisdom of the priests, and if necessary, give them instruction in the truth. On this journey from Canaan to Egypt, Abraham first observed the beauty of Sarah. Chaste as he was, he had never before looked at her, but now, when they were wading through a stream, he saw the reflection of her beauty in the water like the brilliance of the sun. Wherefore he spoke to her thus, the Egyptians are very sensual, and I will put thee in a casket, that no harm befall me on account of thee. At the Egyptian boundary, the tax collectors asked him about the contents of the casket, and Abraham told them he had barley in it. No, they said, it contains wheat. Very well, replied Abraham. I am prepared to pay the tax on the wheat. The officers then hazarded the guess. It contains pepper. Abraham agreed to pay the tax on the pepper, and when they charged him with the concealing gold in the casket, he did not refuse to pay the tax on gold, and finally on precious stones, seeing that he demurred to no charge, however high. The tax collectors, made thoroughly suspicious, insisted upon his unfastening of the casket and letting them examine the contents. When it was forced open, the whole of Egypt was repleasant with the beauty of Sarah. In comparison with her, all other beauties were like apes, compared with men. She excelled Eve herself. The servants of Pharaoh outbid one another in seeking to obtain possession of her, though they were of the opinion that so radiant a beauty ought not to remain in the property of a private individual. They reported the matter to the king, and Pharaoh sent a powerful armed force to bring Sarah to the palace. And so bewitched was he by her charms, that those who had brought him the news of her coming into Egypt were loaded down with bountiful gifts. Amid tears, Abraham offered up a prayer. He entreated God in these words, Is this the reward for my confidence in thee? For the sake of thy grace and thy loving kindness, let not my hope be put to shame. Sarah also implored God, saying, O God, thou didst bid my lord Abraham leave his home and land of his fathers, and journey to Canaan, and thou didst promise him to do good unto him, and if he fulfilled thy commandments. And now we have done as thou didst command us to do. We left our country and our kindred, and we journeyed to a strange land, into a people which we knew not thereof. We came hither to save our people from starvation, and now hath this terrible misfortune befallen. O Lord, help me and save me from the hand of this enemy, and for the sake of thy grace show me good. And the angel appeared unto Sarah while she was in the presence of the king, to whom he was not visible. And he bade her to take courage, saying, Fear not, Sarah, for God hath heard thy prayer. The queen questioned Sarah as to the man in the company of whom she had come to Egypt, and Sarah called Abraham her brother. Pharaoh pledged himself to make Abraham great and powerful, to do for him whatever she wished. He sent much gold and silver to Abraham, and diamonds and pearls, sheep and oxen, and men slaves and woman slaves. And he assigned a residence to him within the precincts of the royal palace. In the love he bore for Sarah, he wrote out a marriage contract, deeding to her all he owned in the way of gold and silver, and men slaves and woman slaves, and the province of Goshen besides, the province occupied in later days by the descendants of Sarah, because it was their property. Most remarkable of all, he gave her his own daughter Hagar as slave. Okay, here's where we get Hagar. And according to Gary Wayne in some of his genealogy deep dives, this woman, Hagar, was of the dragon court. For he preferred to see his daughter, the servant of Sarah, to reign as mistress in another harem. His free-handed generosity availed not. During the night, when he was about to approach Sarah, an angel appeared, armed with a stick. And if Pharaoh but touched Sarah's shoe to remove it from her foot, the angel planted a blow upon his hand. And when he grasped her dress, a second blow followed. At each blow he was about to deal, the angel asked Sarah whether he was to let it descend. And if she bade him to give Pharaoh a moment to recover himself, he waited and did as she desired. And another great miracle came to pass. Pharaoh and his nobles and his servants, the very walls of his house and his bed were afflicted with leprosy, and he could not indulge his carnal desires. This night in which Pharaoh and his court suffered their well-deserved punishment was the night of the 15th of Nisan, the same night wherein God visited the Egyptians in later time in order to redeem Israel, the descendants of Sarah. Horrified by the plague set upon them, Pharaoh inquired how he could rid himself thereof. He applied to the priest, from whom he found out the true cause of his affliction, which was corroborated by Sarah. He then sent for Abraham and returned his wife to him, pure and untouched, and excused himself for what had happened, saying that he had had the intention of connecting himself in marriage with him, whom he had thought to be the brother of Sarah. He bestowed rich gifts upon the husband and the wife, and they departed for Canaan. After a 3 months' sojourn in Egypt, arrived in Canaan, they sought the same night shelters at which they had restored before, in order to pay their accounts, and also to teach by their example that it is not proper to seek new quarters unless one is forced to do it. Abraham's sojourn in Egypt was of great service to the inhabitants of the country, because he demonstrated to the wise men of the land how empty and vain their views were, and also he taught them astronomy and astrology, unknown in Egypt before his time. Okay. So here we have that famous story where they go into Egypt and he tries to pass Sarah off as his sister. That way he's not killed and Sarah taken from him. I think it was Dr. Michael Heiser. He was saying in the reading of the text and some of the words and how it was, worded and pointed, that he believed that the affliction or the cursing that the Egyptians, that the Pharaoh and all the people in his house got was impotency, that no one could get an erection, and that's why he couldn't have sex with Sarah. And then when he tried, messing around with the other women in his harem, he couldn't, he wasn't up for the task, if you know what I mean. So he knew this was a curse, and then that's when he returned Sarah. Let me check in with you guys, see what's up here. Okay, everybody's just quiet. I've got you captivated, don't I? Or asleep. I've got you asleep. Okay, we'll continue on. Excuse me. The first pharaoh. Oh, and I found it interesting too that they're saying that at the end there that Abraham is the one that shown the Egyptians astronomy and astrology, because it says unknown in Egypt before his time. So, and that kind of, I can maybe see where they got that too, because Abraham, came from the land of Ur, and they had all the magi there, and they were known for being astrologers. And if you remember from a previous reading, the magi went to Nimrod and told them that a great sign in heaven and the stars had appeared, and that a great man was born on this night that would overthrow and devour his kingdom. And that was the whole reason why he ordered the death of the firstborn. And once again, that's more foreshadowings. You see that with Jesus. Jesus, the king, was given a sign by the magi, so the king ordered the firstborn of the Jews to be killed, but to escape death, he goes to Egypt. Moses, a great sign comes. A king's told that someone great's going to come and overthrow him. His mom puts him in a basket and sends him down the Nile into Egypt, so he is saved. This is another foreshadowing, repeating theme, like, calling card, stamp of approval of God, kind of, is how I see that. Oh, Rebecca got hit with a YouTube commercial. Yeah, I know that stuff's annoying. I'm a creator on here, and I still give them $20 a month just to get around the ads. Oh, Nancy, thank you. She says, I have a great voice, for those that are listening after the fact. Okay, we'll continue on. So now we are at the first pharaoh. The Egyptian ruler, whose meeting with Abraham had proved so untoward an event, was the first to bear the name Pharaoh. The succeeding kings were named thus after him. The origin of the name is connected with the life and adventures of Racon. I guess that's a god or something. I'm not sure. Somebody in the chat, check that out. Do a quick Google search of what that is. Rakyon. Racon. It says, have not a wise man, handsome and poor, who lived in the land of Shinar, finding himself unable to support himself in Shinar. Okay, never mind. I got it too anxious. They're describing who this person is now. Finding himself unable to support himself in Shinar, he resolved to depart for Egypt, where he expected to display his wisdom before the king. Ashwarosh, the son of Anam, perhaps he would find grace in the eyes of the king, who would give Racon the opportunity of supporting himself and rising to be a great man. When he reached Egypt, he learnt that it was the custom of the country for the king to remain in retirement in his palace, removed from the sight of the people. Only on one day of the year he showed himself in public, and received all who had a petition to submit to him. Richer by a disappointment, Racon knew not how he was to earn a livelihood in the strange country. He was forced to spend the night in a ruin, hungry as he was. The next day he decided to try to earn something by selling vegetables. By a lucky chance, he fell in with some dealers in vegetables, but as he did not know the customs of the country, his new undertaking was not favored with good fortune. Ruffians assaulted him, snatched his wares from him, and made him a laughingstock. The second night, which he was compelled to spend in the ruin again, a sly plan ripened in his mind. He rose and gathered together a crew of 30 lusty fellows. He took them to the graveyard and bade them, in the name in the name of the king, charged 200 pieces of silver for every body they buried. Okay, here we go. This is how all the mortuaries and people got their idea to make their money. That's something my dad used to always tell me. He's like, if you want a job that's secure, Elrod, because that was my nickname to my family. But he said, if you want to make a good living, Elrod, he said, get into healthcare or mortuaries. He said, because everybody gets sick. He said, gets sick or dies. He said, you'll never run out of work. He said, you always have job security if you go into those two fields. But otherwise, interment was to be prevented. In this way, he succeeded in amassing great wealth within 8 months. Okay, taxing people to bury the dead. Not only did he acquire silver, gold, and precious gems, but he also attached a considerable force, armed and mounted, to his person. So if they didn't pay willingly, he had some guys standing by with ball bats ready to break the legs, break the kneecaps, mafia style. On the day on which the king appeared among the people, they began to complain of this tax upon the dead. And they said, what is this thou art inflicting upon thy servants, permitting none to be buried unless they pay 3 silver and gold? Has a thing like this come to pass in the world since the days of Adam, that the dead should not be interred unless money to be paid thereof? We know well that it is the privilege of the king to take an annual tax from the living, but thou takest tribute from the dead too, and thou extractest it day by day. O king, we cannot endure this any longer, for the whole of the city is ruined thereby. The king, who had had no suspicions of Rachan's doings, fell into a great rage when the people gave him information about them. He ordered him and his armed forces to appear before him. Rachan did not come empty-handed. He was preceded by 1,000 youths and maidens, mounted upon steeds and arrayed in state apparel. These were pleasant to the king. When he himself stepped before the king, he delivered gold, silver, and diamonds to him in great abundance, and a magnificent charger. So here we go. He brings him into the mafia, and he's giving him a cut of the money. So this is going to make the king happy, I'm sure. These gifts and the display of splendor did not fail of taking effect upon the king. And when Rachan, in well-considered words, with a patent tongue, described the undertaking, he won not only the king to his side, but also the whole court. And the king said to him, no longer shalt thou be called Rachan, have not, but Pharaoh, paymaster, for thou didst collect tax from the dead. So profound was the impression made by Rachan, the king, the grandees, and the people, all together resolved to put the guidance of the realm in the hands of Pharaoh. Under the suzerainty, that's a hard word, Suzerainty, suzerainty of Ashwath, he administered law and justice throughout the year. Only on one day, when he showed himself to the people, did the king himself give judgment and decide cases. Though the power thus conferred upon him, and through cunning practices, Pharaoh succeeded in usurping royal authority, and he collected taxes from the inhabitants of Egypt. Nevertheless, he was beloved of the people, and it was decreed that every ruler of Egypt should henceforth bear the name Pharaoh. That's the end of that section. So the first Pharaoh was basically a homeless guy that came to Egypt for a better way of life. So he was like an Egyptian, or I'm sorry, like an Irish immigrant that come to America to find the American dream. Started taxing the dead and cut the king in on some of the money, and then therefore he was named Pharaoh. That was a pretty interesting story. I'll check back in with you guys. Oh, we got some new people, or some new people in the chat anyway. Bug Fights, welcome, welcome. He said, I used to hate Southern accents because I thought it made us sound dumb. Yeah. Oh, Pam, she says she's originally from Virginia. So you ran far, far away from home. You went from the other end of the country. Okay. Our next little section, this is a long one. This will probably take up the rest of the time here. That's a long section. Lord have mercy. I might have to stop and get a drink in the middle of that one. Oh, Pam. It's been on a Mike Heiser binge. Can't go wrong with Mike. Okay, Bug says, since then he has fully embraced. You gotta own it, man. Some people really like it. They think it's exotic. Okay, we'll continue on here, guys. So now we have the War of the Kings. On his return from Egypt, Abraham's relations to his own family were disturbed by annoying circumstances. Strife developed between the herdsmen of his cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle. Okay, now we are familiar with this story. This is where Lot ends up going to Sodom. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry. I'm terrible for that. You don't want to watch a movie with me. Ask Amy. She basically told me to shut up last night. She'll tell you otherwise, but, you know, I can read between the lines. No, okay, I know. I went up getting a text because she watches the show. We were watching the show, and I can't remember exactly what it was. An actor that come on the screen or something that brought up another show or movie, and I was trying to describe it to her. I'm like, yeah, you remember that movie, don't you? That's the one where such and such does such and such, and I do. I have a tendency to ramble. Hey, I'm a podcast host. I like to talk, Daddy. And she didn't know what I was talking about, and I just could not get it through my head. I'm like, you have to know this. And I was like, you know, it was this, and this. And she's just looking at me kind of blankly, and she's like, I don't know. You know, like stressing it to me, like, you know, give it up. I don't know. And I kind of laughed at her. I said, okay, I can take a hint. Just tell me shut up. That's not what I said. Sorry. That might be TMI, but that's funny. I thought it was worth sharing. Anyway, you guys know what's up. ADH squirrel. We'll get back to it here. Abraham finished his herds with muzzles. I got that word wrong. Furnished. He furnished his herds with muzzles. But Lot made no such provision. And when the shepherds that pastured Abraham's flock took Lot's shepherds to task on the account of the omission, the latter replied, It is known of the surety that God said unto Abraham, To thy seed will I give the land. But Abraham is a sterile mule. Ouch. Never will he have children. On the morrow he will die, and Lot will be his heir. Thus the flocks of Lot are but consuming what belongs to them, or their master. So I guess this is the herdsmen talking amongst themselves. You know, my daddy could whoop your daddy, kind of thing. But God spoke, Verily I said unto Abraham, I would give the land unto his seed, but only after the 7 nations shall have been destroyed from out of the land. Today the Canaanites are therein, and the Perizzites, they still have the right of habitation. Now, when the strife extended from the servants to the masters, and Abraham vainly called his nephew Lot to account for his unbecoming behavior, Abraham decided he would have to part from his kinsman, though he should have to compel Lot thereto by force. Lot thereupon separated himself not from Abraham alone, but from the God of Abraham also. And he betook himself to a district in which immorality and sin reigned supreme. Wherefore punishment overtook him, for his own flesh seduced him later into sin. God was displeased with Abraham for not living in peace and harmony with his own kindred, as he lived with all of the world beside. On the other hand, God also took it into ill part that Abraham was accepting Lot tactily as his heir, though he had promised him in clear, unmistakable words, "To thy seed will I give the land." After Abraham had separated himself from Lot, he received the assurance again that Canaan should once belong to his seed, which God would multiply as the sand which is upon the seashore. As the sand fills the whole earth, so the offspring of Abraham would be scattered over the whole earth from end to end. And for the replacement theologists, or the Zionists, that's kind of a big talking point right now. That's kind of what this hints at right here. We are all grafted in. When he says, Israel, his people, that includes us now, I believe. I don't think that we replaced the Jews. Don't mistake me there. We are grafted in. And that's what he's saying here. So the offspring of Abraham would be scattered over the whole earth from end to end. And as the earth is blessed only when it is moistened with water, so his offspring will be blessed through the Torah, which is likened unto water. And as the earth endures longer than metal, so his offspring would endure forever, while the heathen would vanish. And as the earth is trodden upon, so his offspring would be trodden upon by the four kingdoms. The departure of Lot had a serious consequence, for the war waged by Abraham against the four kings is intimately connected with it. Lot desired to settle in the well-watered circle of the Jordan, but the only city of the plain that would receive him was Sodom, the king of which admitted the nephew of Abraham out of consideration for the latter. The 5 impious kings planned first to make war upon Sodom on the account of Lot, and then advance upon Abraham. For one of the 5, Amphriel, an interesting fun fact, if you guys have read my book, there's an interesting little blurb about Nimrod. When we have that account where Nimrod the mighty hunter is going out to hunt this hairy quote-unquote man, Esau, who was also a mighty hunter, it talks about, Nimrod was out in the fields hunting, and all this kind of stuff, and then it has like this little blurb there, but it says, and it mentions Nimrod, and it says, and the same was Amphriel. So I'm not going to be so bold and say I know what that means. Was it saying that, Amphriel was just another name that Nimrod was known by, or was it comparing Nimrod to Amphriel? I don't know, but that did catch my eye when I was reading that text. And I was like, Amphriel, and he's mentioned right here. This is one of the 5 kings. But before I go forward, I will say this. Gary Wayne, I had him on the show, and we were talking about Nimrod, possibly being Gilgamesh, and he said that a lot of people hold the opinion, including himself, that these names were inherited by the descendants. That's why it's so hard to know who's who. And he said that's why when you read like these ancient legends in the book of Jasher and some of these other books, it mentions Nimrod and some of these other, kings and important people, how some people will look at the timelines and say, no, Nimrod wasn't alive during this time. There's all that kind of dispute. And some people say, oh, well, they lived extra long lives, or no, that wasn't him. It really muddies the waters because these names were passed down and inherited, and previous kings would take the name of either their father or their previous ruler and keep adding, to the legends and lore of that ruling person. I'd never heard that before, but Gary's the one that introduced me to that on a show we did together. Anyways, continuing on. For one of the 5, Amphriel was... See, I do this every time, guys. I get excited and I start talking about stuff, and then I just need to keep my mouth shut because the very next line removed all of my speculation. Okay. For one of the 5, Amphriel was none other than Nimrod, Abraham's enemy from of old. Okay, yeah, I feel real stupid right now, but that's okay. Feel real stupid.
You chose poorly.
I chose poorly. Amy's laughing right now. The immediate occasion for the war was this. Shalmander, one of Nimrod's generals, rebelled against him after the builders of the tower were dispersed, and he set himself up as the king of Elam. Then he subjugated the Hamitic tribes living in the 5 cities of the plain of the Jordan, and made them tributary, so he made them pay taxes. For 12 years they were faithful to their sovereign ruler Shalmander, but then they refused to pay the tribute, and they persisted in their insubordination for 13 years. Making the most of Shalmander's embarrassment, Nimrod led a host of 7,000 warriors against his former general. In the battle fought between Elam and Shinar, Nimrod suffered a disastrous defeat. He lost 600 of his army, and among the slain was the king's son, Mardon. And I've made comments before that I thought it was, maybe a coincidence, but that name Mardon sounds so much like Marduk, doesn't it? So it's kind of like maybe, Nimrod, what's the word I'm looking for? Deified his son after his death. I mean, possibly, but the names are very similar. He humiliated and abased, he returned to his country. He returned to his country, and he was forced to acknowledge the supremacy of Shalmander, who now proceeded to form an alliance with Arok, king of Elasar. These words are hard. And Tidal, the king of several nations, the purpose of which was to crush the cities of the circle of the Jordan. The united forces of these kings, numbering 800,000, marched upon the 5 cities, subduing whatever they encountered in their course, and annihilating the descendants of the giants. So there, it's the war of the giants. Fortified places, unwalled cities, and flat, open country all fell into their hands. They pushed on through the desert as far as the spring issuing from the rock of Kadesh, the spot appointed by God as the place of pronouncing judgment against Moses and Aaron on the account of the waters of strife. So that's the stone that Moses struck in their Exodus wanderings. Thence they turned toward the central portion of Palestine, the country of dates, where they encountered the 5 godless kings, Bera, the villain, king of Sodom, Bersha, the sinner, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, the father-hater, king of Admah, Shaminder, the Volptumary, king of Zebulun, and the king of Bela, the city that devours its inhabitants. So I guess that's referring to the evil report of the scouts in the Exodus when they come back and said, we are like grasshoppers in their sight, and the inhabitants devour the people of the land. The 5 were routed in fruitful vale of Siddim, the canals of which later formed the Dead Sea. They that remained of the rank and file fled to the mountains, but the kings fell into the slime pits and stuck there. Only the king of Sodom was rescued, miraculously, for the purpose that he might convert those heathen to faith in God, and had not believed in the wonderful deliverance of Abraham from the fiery furnace. The victors despoiled Sodom of all its goods and victuals, and took Lot, boasting, "We have taken the son of Abraham's brother captive." So betraying the real objective of their undertaking, their innermost desire was to strike at Abraham. So what this story is insinuating was that was kind of like the core of their mission. They were going through and conquering all these other nations that wasn't paying their taxes, but Nimrod and Shalmander both had it out for Abraham from that event that we read about earlier, where he was thrown into the furnace and God saved him. So it basically made Nimrod and Shalmander look like chumps. So now they want to get back at Abraham. So continuing on, it was on the first evening of the Passover, and Abraham was eating of the unleavened bread, when the archangel Michael brought him the report of Lot's captivity. Okay, so here we actually have a name of one of the angels. If you remember in this story, this is where 3 entities show up, and he breaks bread with them. So here we see, these angels, these otherworldly beings, these entities, whatever verbiage you want to attach to it, physically sat down, put their feet up in the recliner, and had some salsa and cheese dip and watched the football game together. Nah, I'm being facetious. But they ate and drank and hung out and rested. But it just said there was just 2 angels, but the other 2 went to Sodom, and then Abraham talks to God and starts wheeling and dealing with God. Will you destroy the city if 50 people are righteous? He's like, no, I will spare the city for 50. Well, what about 20? And he keeps going on down, and I can't remember the final number, but it was like 5 or something. It was a really low number, and God was like, no, I will spare the city if there is 5 righteous. So that shows you there wasn't even 5 righteous people in that city. So here in this story, they are saying they're giving a name to one of these angels, which is the archangel Michael, which in Hebrew means the one who's like God, the one who's like Yahweh, which I find very interesting. Some people think that it's a question. There is no punctuation. There is no question mark. So, it could be a statement. It's saying, this is the one like Yahweh. Well, who's the one like Yahweh? To me, that would be Jesus in my mind. And even Daniel 10. Michael's mentioned again. He says, the Prince of Greece, withstood me 20-something days. I couldn't get to you. It wasn't till your angel, Michael, came that I could be freed to come to you, but I must return back because the prince of Greece is on his way. So here you have that Deuteronomy 32, sons of God, that was portioned out the nations. So in that story there, it says Michael is their prince. And God said what? He made Israel an allotment for a heritage. Well, who gets inheritances? Sons do, right? What's the son of the king called? He's a prince, right? That stuff really fascinates me. Oh, and if all that stuff lines up, I posed the question, could this be the angel that goes with them in Exodus? If you guys recall, he's so, upset with these people. He tells Moses, he says, I ain't going forward with you people. No, yous are so spoilt, rotten, and wicked. I'll end up killing yous all. I mean, that's basically what he says. And Moses begs, oh, please, no, please don't remove your presence from me. And begs him, and then finally God says, okay, fine, I will send forth my angel. And he said, and listen to everything that he has to say, and what and why. Because he says, my name is in him. Well, Michael, the one who is like Yahweh, just postulating here, because Scripture don't come right out and say it, but man, the dots sure do line up pretty nicely if you look at it like that, in my opinion. Either way, continuing on. Sorry, guys. Once again, ADH squirrel. But it says, this angel bears another name besides Palit, the escaped, because when God threw Samael and his host from their holy place in heaven, the rebellious leader held on to Michael and tried to drag him along downward, and Michael escaped falling from heaven only through the help of God. When the report of his nephew's evil state reached Abraham, he straightway dismissed all thought of his dissension with Lot from his mind, and only considered ways and means of deliverance. He convoked his disciples, to whom he had taught the true faith, and who all called themselves by the name of Abraham. He gave them gold and silver, saying at the same time, know that we go to war for the purpose of saving human lives. Therefore do ye not direct your eyes upon money. Here lies gold and silver before you. Furthermore, he admonished them in these words, we are preparing to go to war. Let none join us who hath committed a trespass, and fears that divine punishment will descend upon him. Alarmed by his warning, not one would obey his call to arms. They were fearful on the account of their sins. Eleazar alone remained with him, and that's his cupbearer. Therefore God spoke and said, all forsook thee, save only Eleazar. Verily, I shall invest him with the strength of 318 men, whose aid thou didst seek in vain. So here it kind of strays from the biblical narrative, where it says he had 300 strong fighting men and went out to recapture Lot. Which I think it's Jasher that in their retelling of this story says that these are the 300 mighty men, the 300 Gibor men, and tied into Jasher and these legends of the Jews, because both of those accounts, when Abraham's thrown into the fire, he's given gold and silver and all these things from Nimrod to say he's sorry for trying to kill him, I guess. But it says that he give him cattle and maids and servants and all this kind of stuff. But then it says he gave him 300 strong fighting men. So he gave him 300 Gibor men. So Jasher and some of those other stories say that this incident here that we're talking about, that's where those 300 Gibor men came from. They were actually men from Nimrod's army. But in this story, they're saying that it was just Abraham and Eleazar, but God blessed Eleazar with the strength of 318 men. So I'll continue here. I just wanted to highlight the difference in the stories there. It says, the battle fought with the mighty hosts of the kings, from which Abraham emerged victorious, happened on the 15th of Nisan, the night appointed for miraculous deeds. The arrows and stones hurled at him affected not, but the dust of the ground, the chaff, and the stubble which he threw at the enemy were transformed into death-dealing javelins and swords. Abraham, as tall as 70 men, set on end, and requiring as much food and drink as 70 men, marched forward with giant strides, each with his steps measuring 4 miles, until he overtook the kings and annihilated their troops. Furthermore, he could not go, for he had reached Dan, where Jeroboam would once raise the golden calves, and on this ominous spot Abraham's strength diminished. His victory was possible only because of the celestial powers espoused his side. The planet Jupiter made the night bright for him, and an angel, Layla by name, fought for him. In a true sense, it was a victory of God. All the nations acknowledged his more than human achievement, and they fashioned a throne for Abraham and erected it on the field of battle. When they attempted to seat him upon it, amid exclamations of, "Thou art king, thou art our prince, thou art our God," Abraham warded them off and said, "The universe has its king, and it has its God." He declined all honors and returned his property unto each man. Only the little children he kept by himself. He reared them in the knowledge of God. And later they atoned for the disgrace of their parents. Somewhat arrogantly, the king of Sodom set out to meet Abraham. He was proud that a great miracle, his rescue from the slime pit, had been performed for him. He made Abraham the proposition that he keep the despoiled goods for himself. But Abraham refused them, and said, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, God Most High, who hath created the world for the sake of the pious, that I would not take a thread, nor a shoe latchet, nor aught at this time. I have no right upon any goods taken as spoils, save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who tarried by the stuff, though they went not down into battle itself. The example of Abraham in giving a share in the spoils, even unto the men not conquered directly in battle, was followed later by David, who heeded not the protest of the wicked men and the base fellows with him, that the watchers who stayed by the stuff were not entitled to share alike with the warriors that had gone down to the battle. In spite of his great success, Abraham nevertheless was concerned about the issue of war. He feared that the prohibition against shedding of blood of man had been transgressed, and he also dreaded the resentment of Shem, whose descendants had perished in the encounter. But God reassured him and said, Be not afraid. Thou hast but extirpated the thorns, and to Shem he will bless thee rather than curse thee. So it was, when Abraham returned from the war, Shem, or as he had sometimes called Melchizedek, the king of righteousness and the priest of Most High, and the king of Jerusalem, came forward to meet him with bread and wine. Okay, I have to interject here, and my regulars, you guys have heard this many times, so I apologize, but this is big. It's significant and worth mentioning even if it's just one or two people that are new watching this and have not heard me say this. This part here about Shem being Melchizedek is a straight lie. It's not true, and it's a deception of the lying pen of the scribes. Doug Van Dorn, in his book Conspiracy Theory, talked about this. This is not conspiracy theory, this is conspiracy fact. The oldest scrolls that they find of the Genesis account has Shem several hundred years younger, that he dies, several hundred years sooner than the translations that we have today. And this is because during the time of Jesus, when he was crucified and resurrected, if you go to the book of Hebrews, what does it say? It compares, and it's basically pointing to Jesus as Melchizedek. And it says, that like Melchizedek, he had no mother, no father. He was without beginning nor end, and all this thing. And Jesus would be a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. And this bread and wine, that's what Jesus was trying to show at the Last Supper. He was saying, hey, this is me, Daddy. This is the guy you're looking for. But when that happened, the Pharisees, of course, they didn't want everybody pointing to Jesus, saying he was Melchizedek. In their eyes, they rejected Jesus. They'd seen this as, a huge heresy. It was blasphemy, obscene. So what did they do? They had control of the texts. So they went in and they manipulated it and changed it. And we can prove this by going to the oldest manuscripts. The oldest manuscripts weren't like that. Because, just like the Bible says, the lying pen of the scribes, the text was altered. And I'm sorry for, my, missionary Baptist, Southern Baptist folks. And I grew up that way. But, those people are the ones that say, oh, it's the perfect Word of God, never corrupted and protected supernaturally for all time. And that's just not true. But I think God did protect the Word, the important stuff. You know what I mean? If it couldn't be manipulated and changed, why would they have these warnings in the Bible? Cursed is the man who adds or takes away, and all this stuff. That's a toothless warning if it wasn't already possible. And this is what a direct result of it. They added several hundred years to Shem's life to make him alive during the time of Abraham and during the time that he encountered Melchizedek. So they could say to those people of the time, no. This was Shem. Look, they were alive at the same time. And then they started adding this into the oral stories and traditions in these texts. And then they added the years into the genealogy to try to erase Jesus being Melchizedek. Sorry, but I had to say that. And, oh man, I went from like 30 people into the chat to like 18. I must have offended a lot of people with that. But I'm sorry, guys. If that was the case, truth don't care about your feelings. Go look it up if you don't believe me. Don't be offended. Go be a good Berean. Search the word and see if it's so. But I'll continue on. But I wanted to point that fallacy out. But it says, and this high priest instructed Abraham in the laws of the priesthood and in the Torah, and to prove his fellowship for him, he blessed him and called him the partner of God in the possession of the world, seeing that through him the name of God had first been made known among men. And that's another contradiction. It was Moses who got the name of God first. But Melchizedek arranged the words of his blessing in an unseemly way. He named Abraham first and then God. As a punishment, he was disposed by God from the priestly dignity, and instead it was passed over to Abraham. With those descendants, it remained forever. As a reward for the sanctification of the holy name, which Abraham had brought about when he refused to keep aught of the goods taken in battle, his descendants received two commands: the command of the threads in the borders of their garments, and the command of the latches to be bound upon their hands and to be used as frontlets between their eyes. And they're talking about the Jewish custom that you see where they have that black box either tied on their wrist or on top of their heads. That was that Jewish tradition that they're referring to there, because that was part of the commandments. Thus they commemorate that their ancestor refused to take so much as a thread or a latchet. And because he would not touch a shoe latchet of the spoils, his descendant cast their shoe upon Edom. Okay, that's enough for this go around, guys. Next Sunday we will pick up right here, the covenant of the pieces. So I will switch cameras back to the default, swing back around, and I'll check in with you guys in the chat and see what's up, and we'll maybe have some discussion and we will bring this plane to a landing. What do you say? Ah, don't you do that. It's going to do it again. Okay, I fixed it. I thought it was going to do that window disappearing act that it did on me before. Alright, there we go. Now we're cooking with Crisco. Alright, I'm going to go through here, check in with you guys, see what I missed. Okay, there's where I left off last time. We were talking about the southern slangs. Nope, I about freaked out there for a second. I seen "Hey Amy" from Pam. I didn't know if that was my Amy or not. I was talking about her. She calling me out in the chat or something. Oh, there's Neff. Neff Hunter's in the house. What's happening, brother? So what's up, Doc? I'm super late tonight. Can you go another hour? Oh man, I don't know if my voice could take it, man. I'm pretty cotton mouthed. I could spit a cotton shirt right now. There's Garrett. What's happening, Garrett? I'm glad you could join us tonight, man. Garrett, I'm hoping for the same. Okay, there's Pam. Yep, love Doug Van Dorn. Yeah, he blew my mind. I mean, he has several times, but he's the one that told me about Michael and the name meaning the one who is like Yahweh, and that whole thing that I told you about. You know, he believed it was like a pre-incarnate Jesus. I'd never heard that before, and to me, it made a whole lot of sense. But he in that episode we did with him, he did give us a warning, though. He said, now, if you go to try to tell this to some people that's familiar with the Mormons will throw it in your face and say, well, that's a lie, that's not true, because that's what the Mormons say. You know, and he said, the Mormons, he said, got a lot of stuff wrong. He said, but doesn't mean they're wrong about everything. He said, I think they're on to something there. But then he pulled out those old scrolls and showed us. It was me and Stephen and Ben from the Dig Bible podcast days, and showed us, you know, he pulled it up online. Yeah, the oldest manuscripts that they find, yeah, Shem wasn't that old. and he showed us where it changed, and it was right around the time of the death of Jesus and the writing of the book of Hebrews. So they did that on purpose to point to Shem as being Melchizedek and not Jesus. But yeah, as soon as, I mean, it could have been a coincidence, but I had like 30-something people in the chat, close to 40, and then I made that comment, and I looked down, it went down to like 18. I was like, uh-oh. I upset some people, man.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
They heard the shots, man. They ducked under the table. Oh, you're welcome, Nancy. Thank you for popping in and hanging out with us. Definitely appreciate you guys, and NDS popping in the chat. I think I heard some people saying, hey, Raven, so I don't know if that was Raven on the NDS handle there, or... I was just reading Rebecca. I was talking about the plane of Shinar, and then I mentioned the black box. She said, I thought she's talking about the black box of the plane. Okay, Neff said, who were they fighting against when he gave them the 300 Gibborim? I can't remember what episode it was, but it was in this study, and it was kind of toward the front. It might have been, I don't know, episode 6 or 8 to 10, somewhere around there. But in that reading, it said that Abraham was destroying the idols of his father Terah, and he was being cute, you know. And when they asked him, you know, who destroyed the idols, he's like, oh, you see the hatchet in the hands of the big statue? I laid an offering out, and they all fought over it, and the big one killed all the other ones. Thus you see him holding the hatchet. And he's like, do you think I'm a fool? You know, these things are lifeless, you know, and all this kind of stuff. He's like, right, Father. These things are lifeless, so why do you worship them? And he takes him to Nimrod, and he does the same thing to Nimrod. Nimrod stalks this furnace and throws him into it. And I can't remember how many days he stayed in there. I think it was like 3 days. And he was unscorched. Even his clothes were unscathed. And Nimrod was so scared that a curse was going to come upon him, or some kind of judgment. He, you know, gave Abraham all this money and all these cattle and goats and servants and all this kind of stuff. And in that writing it says that he also gave Abraham 300 Gibborim, you know, Gibbor, fighting men. And so the way it worded it, and along with the book of Jasher, said that basically, you know, these men were loyal to Abraham. And so when this happened with his nephew Lot, he reached out to those men and gathered them, and then they went after Shalmander and the other 4 kings to take them out. Oh, you was only kidding. I hope you wasn't kidding about the explanation. That was pretty long-winded of me. No, I'm just kidding. I assume you was talking about another hour. Well, guys, I definitely appreciate you coming and hanging out, man. It's been another fun one. I'm really enjoying going through this. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm going through some of Robert Sepher's work. Really enjoying those books. I can't wait to break those down for you. And I want to do some more live studies, kind of like I did with the St. Patrick's Day episode. That was a lot of fun to gather my notes and stuff and have them up on the screen over here and kind of just go through my notes, what I'd read, what I'd found, and have some discussion with you guys. That's a whole lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and honestly, you guys and other people too seem to enjoy it. I got quite a few new subscribers from that episode, and my lives usually, you know, are around 400 to 600 views or something like that. It had 400 or 600 views before 24 hours even rolled around, so that thing really took off. got like 1,100 views or something like that. And as far as like my lives go, that was pretty good. So everybody seemed to enjoy it, and I did too. All right, guys. Well, that's it. But like I said, man, thank you guys for coming out. Love y'all. Share this study with some friends. Throw it up on your socials, or text a friend or family member, and let's continue to grow this study and let them know, hey, man, we here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. We have our live premiere Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Come and join us for the chat. We always have a good time. It's usually the same group, man, because this is the Promethean Fire fam. So come be a part of the family and join us every Sunday and Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard on the YouTube channel. Great episode lined up. We have Alec, and I cannot pronounce his last name. I'm not even going to try. But he's a Polish man, very, very intelligent, well-read, studied guy, university man, big brain guy. And we get into Atlantis. So this is one of those guys. It's the first of many conversations, I am sure. Really enjoyed it. So that's a really great conversation. And Wednesday, we have a All Access Pass show. I think it's 10 minutes or so that goes out to the public, because the show itself was only like 30 minutes long anyway. But that is a solo episode, just me, and I go through The City of Angels and Wings of Desire, both Hollywood films, and we talk about Genesis 6, how we hear that narrative over and over again throughout history, and even Hollywood's talking about it. So that will be Wednesday, guys. But hey, love y'all, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow night. And just remember, guys, the difference between the known and the unknown. You guys know. It's the journey. So, good journey, guys. Love y'all.
Towns built out of borrowed light, thrones wiring into fear, truth chained high on mountain walls while vultures circle near.